Eugene reviews Hulk. No, wait. No. Alright, there we go. The Incredible Hulk. Much better. How's it going, everyone? It's Eugene again. Welcome to another episode of Eugene Reviews. And to continue this slate of Marvel Cinematic Universe films, today's film will be the second Marvel Cinematic Universe film ever released, and that is The Incredible Hulk. A brief history on my viewings on The Incredible Hulk. I actually saw this in another country. I visited the Philippines back in 2008. I was there for maybe mid-June to mid-July, so about a month. And during that time, I was able to see The Incredible Hulk with my family. So, let's go ahead and go through all of these acts. Let's start with Act 1. Act 1, Development. The Incredible Hulk, Take 1. So, 2008's The Incredible Hulk was directed by French director Louis Leterrier. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I might have botched it. It's the second film in Marvel's grand film scheme, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. However, it wasn't really kind of known to us this was going to be a part of the cinematic universe. This came out around mid-June, just about a month after the release of Iron Man, which was one of the most successful films of 2008. And not a lot of people, including myself, thought of Incredible Hulk having any ties to Iron Man. I just thought it was another superhero film to view. But indeed, as we find out at the conclusion of The Incredible Hulk, this happens to link together with Iron Man. This whole grand scheme is all linked together. And it started with Iron Man, and it went forward with The Incredible Hulk. Now, it's not really known so much in the film. There's no like tie-ins as much as you see in other previous Marvel Cinematic Universe films. People tend to forget sometimes The Incredible Hulk is a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It stars Edward Norton, and I know a lot of people are wondering, wait a minute, where's Mark Ruffalo? We'll get to that in a bit. This will be the second time we see The Incredible Hulk on the big screen. As you can recall, back in 2003, there was a version of Hulk directed by Ang Lee, who is a great, phenomenal director. It just wasn't the most appeasing of films. 2003's Hulk left a sour taste in my mouth. I admire the ambition and vision Ang Lee was trying to put forward, but the dialogue and kind of the lack of action just really kind of dwindled it down, and it was really disappointing. So fast forward 5 years later, The Incredible Hulk was actually supposed to be a sequel, but it's been rewritten so many times, so many directors, so many producers were kind of in and out, so many drafts were printed and kind of scrapped off to the side. Eventually, when they hired Edward Norton, he actually was also assigned to write the script. Based on what I looked up, Norton did write a portion of The Incredible Hulk, but he wasn't credited fully for The Incredible Hulk as he didn't sufficiently write a good chunkage of the script to be recognized. He wrote, little bits here and there, but ultimately the entire credit went to Zach Penn. After filming wrapped up and went into editing, that's where a little bit of the quote-unquote drama went and took place. According to sources, there were some kind of butting of heads between the director, Edward Norton, and the editor in regards to kind of putting the film together. I think Louis and Edward wanted the film to be at least 2 hours. They wanted to cut it down to just under 2 hours, a little under an hour and a half, somewhere around that line. But that's kind of where the story started to evolve, being about the criticism of Edward Norton's kind of involvement with The Incredible Hulk. Ultimately, when the film was promoted, he wasn't a part of the promotions, as he was not in agreement to kind of the overall picture of The Incredible Hulk, which is why you see Mark Ruffalo now as Hulk and not Edward Norton. So plenty of drafts, plenty of butting of heads, and the extracurricular activities and responsibilities of Edward Norton are kind of the key points to look at whenever you look at the development of The Incredible Hulk. Act 2, Execution, The Incredible Hulk, Take 1. So The Incredible Hulk, I'll just say this. It's a good film. It's a good film. I think more so I'm focused on the fact that it wiped the taste of Hulk out of my mouth. For that, I kind of raise it up to be a little higher, because 2003 Hulk was trash. Let's be real. It was trash. So when this came out, I told myself, it has to be at least good. It has to be at least good for me to kind of get behind this. And sure enough, it's good. It's good. And anything that's better than the Hulk I mean, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of films that are better than Hulk, is already a plus for me. So Incredible Hulk was good. I do like the fact that they started the whole introduction sequence already showing the backstory of how he became the Hulk. I felt like that was probably the easier, more sensible path to take instead of showcasing his whole origin, how he got the gamma radiation, rather than just, showing a full hour sequence of how it happened. Just show it in the introductions. The fans kind of already know who he is. They already know how he became the Hulk. And I'm sure with that opening credit, movie fans, moviegoers, they'll be able to tell how he became the Hulk. Overall, this film plays out like a chase movie, like The Fugitive, kind of. A big cat and mouse game. Edward Norton's Bruce Banner's on the run, starts off in Brazil, works his way all the way up to the States to kind of avoid being captured by General Thunderbolt Ross, played by William Hurt. I think the film is good in a sense that it's a decent action film. But the fact that it's under the banner of Marvel Cinematic Universe, we have to hold it to a higher degree. If this was any other film, if this was just Incredible Hulk with no affiliations to MCU or whatsoever, this would have been a really good film. Really enjoyable film. But when you put the banner of it being a Marvel Cinematic Universe films, that's when it kind of dwindles down a little bit. I wasn't feeling the chemistry between Liv Tyler's Betty Ross and Edward Norton's Hulk. I just thought it was a little kind of cloudy. It was a bit of a dull chemistry. I thought the sequence between Abomination and Hulk, which was great visually, I think kind of started off a little bit patchy. Overall, I just think when it came to dialogue, it wasn't the strongest, but when it came to action, it was actually pretty legit. I thoroughly enjoyed the sequences that took place at Culver University with Hulk taking on this newly revamped Emil, and then of course the final sequence in Harlem where the Abomination takes on the Hulk. If I have to be real, I think that the fight between the Hulk and the Abomination is a very underrated sequence in the entire spectrum of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's really action-packed, and it also has a character arc for the Hulk. You see him at his tipping point whenever he sees Betty in peril, and I just think it's a real nice showing of combination between his physical attributes and the overall emotional aspect of the Hulk. Once again, it's not the greatest, but it's really decent. It's much better than you would anticipate. The film doesn't play more so as being a full-on action film rather than being a dramatic chase film. While it may not be strong, it is unique to kind of have in the catalog of Marvel Cinematic Universe. Because down the road, you're gonna see a film about a Norse god. You're gonna see a film about a frozen World War II soldier. You're gonna see a film about a high school teenage kid that got bitten by a spider. You're gonna see a film about these intergalactic rebels, not known as Star Wars, that happen to save an entire galaxy. And then you're gonna see a film about a fictitious African nation with very, very rich sources. So it's nice to see this kind of genre in the MCU. A little bit of a cat and mouse chase type of film. It's not the strongest, obviously, but like I said, it's better than the Hulk. And then of course we have to talk about the final sequence. That's not necessarily a post-credit scene, but it is kind of a cliffhanger to the next batch of films. Of course, we see Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark walking into a bar, confronting General Thunderbolt Ross and asking, "What if I told you we were putting a team together?" And that's kind of like, this is connecting to this. Oh, he said in that film, that means they're doing it in this film. Oh, these are connected. I'll admit, when I saw that scene, because I had not known this was going to be a part of the MCU. When I saw that scene initially, I said, holy shit, Hulk is going to be a part of the Avengers. They're legit going to start something here. Like, if you were to take anything away from the Incredible Hulk, you could take away, the fact it had some decent action. You could take away the fact that it was just a fair film. It was solid at best. But if you're to take one thing away from it, it's the fact that we're gonna have this superhero supergroup down the road called the Avengers. We saw it in the post-credit scene of Iron Man. We're seeing it in this final scene in the Hulk, which means we're just gonna lay down the foundations for other films, and we're gonna get the Avengers. Act 3, response, The Incredible Hulk, take 1. So as Iron Man in May did this much, The Incredible Hulk in June did that much. To this day, The Incredible Hulk still ranks dead last in domestic earnings in the box office. And it's really not a fault in the film per se. I guess it was a fault in the marketing. Had this been marketed saying like, this is gonna be the second part of the MCU, it definitely would have made more significant money. But this is still a starting point for them. There's no real traction to this. We don't know what this MCU is. This is just the second film. There's nothing to kind of to bounce off. They're already kind of going in with one hand tied behind their back. But they were swinging. They were swinging. I give it to them. I think it's arguable that this is the better version of Hulk. I think fans are a lot more happier that this is a better version of Hulk. But once again, you're seeing this under the whole cloud of it being an MCU film. It's really not that impressive. Or there's more films that come out that's just so much better than it. It's an underwhelming performance in the box office, but it's still a good film. I feel like if anyone's gonna go through a Marvel Cinematic Universe marathon, you have to include The Incredible Hulk. Like I had said before, had this film had no tie-in, had no affiliation whatsoever to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, if it was just a solely based Hulk film, it would have been good. But we do have to look at this through the lens of an MCU film, and compared to other MCU films, and there's like 20 more like it, it is kind of near the bottom. But I mean, it still holds an approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes. It's not certified fresh, but it is fresh nonetheless. I can say there's a significant amount of people that like this film more so than they hate this film. It's not divisive or anything. It's just, it was coming in at a time where we didn't really know what this MCU was, how big this could be. But regardless of it, it's now a part of this canon known as the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and we can appreciate it for what it is. Even if, you know, Edward Norton is no longer the Hulk. Even if it's Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk. Who knows, maybe down the road, we could see a Hulk film with Mark Ruffalo. But that's a whole nother video I can discuss about how Universal has distribution rights and this and that. He has to do this, they have to do that. They need to sign off on this, they need to sign off on that. It's a whole conundrum. All right, we've gone through all 3 acts. Let's go ahead and nail it on the head and hit the verdict. My verdict for The Incredible Hulk. It's a good film. I like the film. I do like the film. It had some good action sequences. I thought Norton was a decent Bruce Banner, but I could do without the bland chemistry and dialogue throughout the entire film. I think the final sequence in Harlem is an underrated action sequence that should be recognized more within the canon of MCU than it does right now. Despite its performance in the box office, despite this being kind of the lower tier MCU films, it's still a nice, enjoyable film nonetheless. It's not gonna be Iron Man good, but then again, it's not gonna be 2003 Hulk bad, which is like bad. And yeah, the fact that it's already better than 2003 Hulk is already a plus for me. I'm gonna go ahead and give The Incredible Hulk a 6.1 out of 10. As I mentioned in my first video, which I'm gonna put a link down below, I'm going to be making an MCU ranking list as I go along with these reviews. So we started with Iron Man and now we're at Incredible Hulk. I'm gonna go and say it's a smidgen under Iron Man. Okay, a lot more. Okay, yeah, a lot more. But it's still early to probably beat out the other film. Well, who am I kidding? But yeah, this will be beneath Iron Man thus far. So that's my take on The Incredible Hulk. If there's any type of fun fact or any type of trivia that you want to acknowledge about this film, leave it on the comments below. If you have a different opinion on the film, if you think this is the worst film ever made, if you think this is the greatest film ever made, feel free to put it in your comments. Also, if you have an idea of other films that you'd like for me to review, please put them in the comments too. And like, share, subscribe, continue supporting this channel. And yeah, this has been fun. Once again, everyone, continue to stay safe out there. We will get through this together as long as we cooperate and learn to be kind with one another as well. Kindness is a definite factor we all have to partake in. Stay healthy, wash your hands, practice social distancing, and we're gonna get through this.
Hulk rap. Incredible Hulk. Eugene review, take one.